Hello there. My name is Misty Chladek, and you're here joining us for a live interview with Taryn Foster. And she is a resin artist, and her artwork is really, really beautiful. It would just blow you away. You have to look through the comments, check her out at her website, all of that. And I can't wait for you guys to meet her. I'm just going to add her in, and then we'll start a live interview. So I'll see you guys there. Hi.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank
How
you.
are you?
Thanks for having me. I'm good. How are you?
Good. We're live. We're here live, and you sound great. So everything's doing great.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. No, you do, and the light looks great. I need to work on mine a little bit better, but yeah, it's okay. So welcome. I've been wanting to visit with you for some time. I love your work. It's not just peaceful. There's just like so much life in it. And anyway, I was going to ask you, would you mind telling us about who you are, the things that you do, the things that you love, and just kind of introduce who you are?
Oh, that's a loaded question, right?
Sorry.
My name is Taryn, and I'm married. I have 3 boys who are grown, and I'm kind of a late bloomer in life, and I really just found my calling maybe 5 years ago. So I was always into painting and drawing as a kid, and that just got away from me. I went in the direction of acting and drama, which, that's not the greatest road to travel.
Yeah. Gotcha.
And I made a lot of really bad decisions. And then I got married in my late 20s and had 3 boys. And your priorities kind of change.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm going to get back into church, and I was 40 when that happened. But I didn't go for me, I went for my kids, because clearly I didn't need it, but I knew that was the one thing that kept me from falling in the hole. So I went to have my kids discover God, and God has a funny way of switching stuff around on you.
This is true. Yes.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you were saying that you actually began like enjoying art and things like that whenever you were young. So,
I did. But it took me, I guess, it took me a long time to find, when my kids were younger, I went back to school for landscape architecture. And I thought,
that's awesome.
I love plants. I love planting. It's creative. You're still doing something creative.
Yeah.
And then I graduated, and then I realized there's so many aspects of it I don't like that are technical.
The chemical, or like the chemistry and all that. Yeah.
So I thought, oh, great. I've spent 47 years of my life knowing what the heck I'm going to do, or what I really want to do, or what gives me peace. And I picked up some paint one day, and I thought, I'm just going to start painting. And
that's awesome.
it led to another. And it wasn't my belief at that point, but it was that I didn't know who I was. I didn't know I was the daughter of the creator. Once you realize that is so huge, and it makes nothing impossible.
This is true. That is awesome.
I think I have to figure it out, but I think I'm going to be 57 this year, because I can't keep track of age.
That's okay.
So, I'm just coming into what I love, and what gives me peace.
That is so awesome. Actually, that's really encouraging for me, because, I'm
a late bloomer.
Yeah. I began with all the arts too.
I've just wasted so much time in my life, but
I understand what you mean. We waste time. without meaning to. Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think sometimes we struggle through trying to figure it out and we think that's even wasting time. But
Yeah.
I just have to believe that God uses it all, because
Absolutely.
He does.
Absolutely.
And I've been really hard on myself many, many times. Felt like I should be further ahead. I should be knowing this or that or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember having some quiet time with the Lord. This was um, a number of years ago. And I was so frustrated with myself. And I was letting the Lord, know that. And he very clearly said to me, "Don't you think I can complete you?" I'm like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, yes, you can.
Mm.
So, yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that. That was good. I was going to ask you, okay, so I know there's lots of questions I would love to
Literally.
ask. And then you can just share freely about things too.
Mhm.
Um, but I was going to ask, so the resin pours that you do, are those acrylic then?
Sometimes I do an underpainting, but
Oh,
a
gotcha.
lot of the times I just go with the flow, so to speak,
Yeah.
because I'm not a planner. I'm not good at planning. I don't have patience. So
Hmm.
I'm very intuitive when it comes to painting.
Right.
So,
I understand that part too. Yeah. Even though I do watercolor, it's, I just do what the Lord puts on my heart. Same
yeah,
kind of thing. That's good. It's
yeah.
very freeing too. I think
Hmm.
it's very freeing. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of peace in that also. Yeah.
It is. You don't worry so much about messing up, you know.
That's
And
true. It's like happy little accidents. Yeah.
you can find a lot of ways to fix your blues.
That's true. That's
You know,
good.
you just pour another layer and pour another layer
That's okay. Yeah.
until you're happy with it.
I was gonna say, I love the fact that because you do that, it's several different layers. I mean, you see like all this depth, to it, and
Yeah.
that gives it like this very real feel, of like water. I love that.
Yeah.
Um, there's something that you mentioned about, and I think this is interesting too, because it is creative as well. You said landscape architecture. I
Mhm.
did landscape design also in college. Because
Nice.
I love plants and I love, the outside, the outdoors.
Uh-huh.
And I got redirected back into photojournalism at the end of all of that somehow. Um, even though I'd done art most of my life. Um, because the same thing, probably like what you're talking about, the I don't know, like the chemistry, there's all these very heavy science, components to it. And as an artist, I don't know if it was as an artist or just me personally, I wasn't in, I couldn't even wrap my mind around that. How did you deal with that? Or did you, I know this is going away from painting, but how did you deal with like landscape design or architecture? Because that is creative too. What was that?
How did I get into it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, well, funny enough, when we moved out here from the valley. I don't know, California. There's the city, there's
Yes.
the valley, and then
I
there's.
lived in Arizona too. So yeah, the valley. Yeah.
Um, so this is kind of very. It's a small town, but you're still next
Hmm.
to a big town, and there's a lot of nature here and
Gotcha.
open space. And we moved into this house. It was our first house and our
Hmm.
only house, but the yard was horrible. Like the backyard was nothing. And with three boys, you want a place for
Same.
them. And I really, at that point, I was like, okay, I need to find a job where it's something I'm going to need
Yeah.
in my life. And there happened to be a job for an office manager, bookkeeper for a landscape architecture firm
Wow.
here. And I was very, I had quit my job as I did insurance billing for dental, which you could just imagine my,
Yes.
my head. But I really prayed specifically because I knew I had 3 young boys and I wanted to be there for them. I wanted to be there when I had to be there at school for them.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like, okay, God, I need a job that is going to allow me to be a mom still. If I need to leave to go watch my child get an award, I need to be able to go. I need a job that's close to my home because I can't I can't travel because I'm not going to drive an hour into LA, which is really 2 hours of traffic.
Yeah.
And so I was really had all these specific things that I asked for.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a job for landscape architecture. And I thought, I need landscape architecture in my yard.
Yeah.
So I will go and apply. So I did, and I walk in. The funny thing was, as soon as I walked in the door, there's a lady there from the same daycare that my kids go to.
Oh, wow.
And she also had 3 boys, the exact same ages. And it was like,
Mm-hmm.
hi. So I thought, oh, this is a shoe-in. I got it.
Right.
And so I left there feeling really good. And I was like, this is it, God. I think this is it. And then I didn't hear from the guy. His name is James Dean, by the way.
That's awesome.
Didn't hear from him. He was an older gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
And he had done great things. I mean, he designed the Grove in Hollywood and big shop out here, and he did high-end residential. And so I thought, okay, back to the drawing board. This is obviously not where I want to be. And all of a sudden he called, and I went in. He hired me, and I started work there. And as soon, not 1 week, I don't even think it was 1 or 2 weeks I was there, and I all of a sudden had to cut my hours because I didn't have childcare for my youngest one after a certain time. And I went to him, I said, I know that this is crazy, and if you want to let me go, I totally understand. And his response was, in this office, family is first. So I've never been there 16 years, but I started going on, he's also an arborist, so he does tree work. So I started helping him with tree work.
Yeah.
And just liked it. And then I went back to UCLA, and one thing led to another. So, yeah.
That's exciting. Yeah. That's awesome. There's a really good video that you might enjoy out there. Yeah. Oh, that's good. Yeah. There's this video called Back to Eden. I know we can get back to art here, but if you've ever heard of it, I'll share it with you later.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, that really opened my eyes to not just creatively outside, but a really neat way to take care of my gardens and all of that. So it's a whole other avenue. Anyway, okay, so back to artwork. I was going to ask you a question. When it comes to your artwork, because I know it was like something that you were just discovering and about like yourself and the things that you love, how did you know that you were going to start selling it or sharing it with others? I mean, like in that way.
I didn't really expect it. But I knew that it was something I loved doing, and it brought me peace. And we actually had some friends who, they became friends because I used to go there for lunch all the time, this little hole wall in Newberry. And they were opening up a larger place. And I was like, oh, yeah, I have some paintings I can hang on your wall if you want.
That's awesome.
This is even before resin. This was just doing the acrylic fluid.
Gotcha.
And so she opened up and she's like, okay, come in, and this whole wall is yours. Do whatever you want. I was like, okay. And I've never sold any painting that I hung up there, but I've had people call me for other paintings. So that was the first time I think I actually sold a large painting, and then ended up buying 3 of them. And I was like, okay. This is really good. Okay. And then I opened an Etsy store. I thought, okay, well, if that could sell, maybe this can sell. started doing smaller, affordable pieces of art.
Right.
Cutting boards or ring trays or whatever. Those I have. It takes me a lot of patience to do those small things because they're really harder than the large.
This is true. Yeah.
So it's not my favorite thing to do, but they sell, so I do them.
That's good. No, it's good. It's good that they sell. This is important. I mean, that's
Yeah.
really important. Yeah. So do you do some of the larger pieces just for you to enjoy them? I mean, like you do them not commission per se, but you do them and then they're purchased.
I have all kinds of stuff laying around here. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I've replaced all my paintings up at the restaurant with resin ones. So
Oh, have you?
yeah.
Have some of those sold then because of the resin?
No, because COVID has happened and nobody can go in a restaurant. So
Gotcha. Yeah.
we're just trying
Yeah, COVID is a whole other thing. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Big change. I was gonna ask you this. I know that you mentioned something about this earlier, like in our chatting back and forth, but so you don't feel like, or do you feel like there's like been any like real challenges, like trying to meeting strangers or talking to people that you're just meeting, telling them the things
You
that
have
you
a problem talking to people because I'm super shy. I was like, when I was into acting, like I was literally under the table, like
Oh,
I
yeah,
didn't want to. And the only way I could do it was to totally become a different character.
yeah,
And so in that sense, I was a good actress, I guess.
yeah.
But I am shy and I'm not good in like a group setting, I don't like,
Mhm.
I'm a mingler. I don't like to talk about the weather and a little, stuff that's,
Little chit chat, yeah.
yeah, just chit chat. I don't know.
Oh, and I do understand that one too, like very deep conversation or deep talk, deep thinking and
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm much better if I meet somebody on one-on-one.
Mhm. That's yeah. I'm that way as well.
But I'm like nervous doing this because that's just who I am.
Yeah,
So
gotcha. We're doing great. Okay, I was gonna ask you, and this is really neat because of some things that you shared with me before, but, can you share with me, how do you encounter the Lord when you're creating? Like, what is that like for you?
oh, um, I encounter him daily. Like I can't create without encountering him every day. So I try to get up in the mornings and come into my little haven room right here. And, whether it's 15 minutes or an hour, however long,
Mhm.
um, I don't feel right the rest of the day unless I've done that. If I'm running late and I can't do it, it doesn't happen. If it doesn't happen in the morning, it's really hard to make it happen later.
Wow.
So that's one thing. And then I have Bible verses and Post-it notes posted up in my room. I have
Good.
music going before I paint all the time. I have
Mhm.
out loud conversation with God. Like if somebody walked in, they're like, "Who are you talking to?" But it's just what works for me. So
Mhm.
I talk to him while I'm painting.
It's like it's like you work with him with all of
So
it.
he's in my room with me
Yeah.
all the time. Yeah.
That's awesome. And basically, like, whenever you do that, when you create and you're creating with him, it's like it all comes through,
Mhm.
like your creations. And I believe that's how people encounter the Lord too, like through our creative works. It's like they see life, they see joy, they see, you know,
Mhm.
they see him and sometimes they don't even know that's what they're seeing, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Sometimes I blame it on him when I do something I don't like.
That's awesome. You're
At
like,
least you have somebody else to blame it on.
You're like, "Do I have to sell this?" Yeah.
Like, you need to fix that.
That's great.
Yeah.
You have pieces. Okay, this is interesting. Okay, as an artist, do you make pieces sometimes that are commission and then, or sometimes it's just really hard to let go of certain ones? I know for me, I experienced that.
I have had pieces that I didn't want to part with. I have
Yeah.
hanging up downstairs that I'll be glad when it sells, but I'll be very sad too because
Right.
it's good in my house.
Yeah.
What did you ask me again? Because I totally lost track.
You actually answered it. You're good.
There was something else I was going to say to that though, and I forgot what it was.
Oh, I was asking, do you have a hard time with letting go of certain pieces?
So that's what it was that I had just I was just doing this piece because sometimes it takes me months to get a piece done because I'll
Gotcha.
put it away.
Wow.
And then I'll pull it back out, and then I put it and I'll pull it back out.
Yep.
And so I had this piece I was working on for probably at least 2 months. And I thought, okay, I'm going to pull it back out again. I just get that, that feeling like it's time.
Yeah.
And I was doing it, and I did this little video to post on Instagram. And I was like, oh, this is a little clip of a much larger piece, and I get this message from somebody saying, oh, could I ask what size that is? And I told her it was, it's 24 by 24. And she said, oh, I'd really like to get it. I'm like, you are really brave because you haven't even seen the whole thing. So that was just a really, that was a godsend, really.
That is really awesome.
And then on my back of my mind, I was thinking, oh, I'm going to tell her the price. She's going to say, oh, I can't afford that, because you always have a problem when you sell artwork.
It's very true.
People who know what it's worth, and then there's people who, are used to home good prices.
Yeah.
So I told
her.
Like
a print.
Okay, yeah, I want it. And then I sent her the full, I said, well, let me send you so you at least know what it looks like. And she's like, oh yeah, okay, I want it. And
wow.
Then she Venmo'd me the money, and I was like, oh wow, this is good.
This is good, yes.
My God comes through when you think,
Every time.
Yeah.
Every time.
You start getting those thoughts in your head like, I haven't sold anything in a really long time, and
or questioning certain things, and
you're questioning, and then something like that happens, and thanks for that confirmation.
It's really true. Yeah. I love that. And actually, not that I like having questioning in my mind, no. But I mean, like, I love his confirmations. I love his reassurance. It's like constantly, it's like, yes, just trust him. Just, yeah. And it doesn't mean that those questions don't come, because they do. Yeah. Always. Yeah.
Questioning.
I know, like, for me, sometimes I've even, without even realizing it, entertained it too long. The questions.
You're really mind games with you.
Yes, actually, and can get very discouraged. And I think, I don't know if it's a personality thing, but like a lot of creatives that I've met or have got to know, especially through the community, they're, they create alone instead of like in groups. So it's very alone. Like it's not intentionally you're trying to be by yourself always, but it is very much that way. It's very, very personal. And because of that, it gives you this, there's a lot of things that can play with your mind, and it kind of draw you further and further and further away.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important about community. I'm learning that myself, actually. But yeah.
Yeah.
True. Do you have like a community of creatives in your area that you connect with or anything like that?
No. I'm extremely shy. I'm not kidding you.
Yeah.
To go to an art group,
Mhm.
I don't think I could ever do that. Like
Gotcha.
we had an art night at our church one time, and it was okay, but it was just I kind of stayed with me and my daughter-in-law who was there with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's okay.
Hard for me to step out.
Yeah.
Getting better though. I'm much better behind the screen. Like I'll get messages of
Yes.
of other artists asking for my help on something, and I'm
That's good.
totally willing to help them. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's just these group things. I'm just not good at.
Much harder.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. So is there, I was gonna ask you, another creative outlet that you also enjoy besides resin pours?
I like writing. Uh,
Mhm.
I used to write a lot of poetry, and
Wow.
I always wanted to write a book, but I start and then I can't finish. It's hard.
It is
To,
hard. Yep.
like, oh yeah, I have a
Mhm.
good idea, and then it's like, oh, where's it go from here? And
Yeah.
it goes back to having patience, and maybe that's not what I'm supposed to do, but I do like writing, and I do put the two together when I'm doing a post or something on
Yes.
Instagram. Sometimes I get um, very specific things that I feel like are coming from God to post.
Mhm.
So, and again, when you get that confirmation from somebody who says, oh, thank you for posting this, I really needed to hear it, or whatever, and you're like, thank you.
Okay, thank you, yeah. It's a good confirmation too. Like
Thank
yeah,
the big guy.
exactly. It's
Yeah.
like that he just downloaded it in your spirit and that you were able to share it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know sometimes I know for me, this is true. Sometimes I think it's just for me. And I
Yeah.
may hear
Yeah.
something from the Lord and I don't do anything with that. And
Yeah.
I've been reminded like you should have shared that. Oh, yeah. And sometimes we don't realize how much it,
Even if you're writing it just for you, you're
yeah,
not the only person going through that.
that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
So maybe it was just you that needed to hear that.
This is true. Yeah.
Mm.
And actually, I think the more that we just, yeah, I'm reminding myself. So actually, the more I share also and open, you know, I think it also, yeah, it tears down those walls that we build up too, where
Mhm.
we just kind of close off
Yeah.
even more. Hmm.
Well, especially with this COVID,
Hmm.
that's
Yeah.
really become isolating. I miss
Very.
church. It's
Yeah.
more than just a building. You know what I mean? Because you go there to
Community.
fellowship.
Hmm.
It took me years to get comfortable with fellowship,
Yeah.
and going into my small group, which thank goodness we're meeting again. But
Oh, good.
our church hasn't opened back up. We're doing
Yeah.
outdoor services finally, I think next weekend, the weekend
Hmm.
of Labor Day. But yeah, it's been hard.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Does. And especially whenever, excuse me, you learn that someone that you know of maybe have been exposed or
Mm-hmm.
something, you're like, so a lot of things go through your mind about
Yeah.
all that. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
No, you're fine. Yeah. My parents actually got over it. They had COVID and made it through that, that was really hard. But they didn't live near me either. So I think if they had lived near me, that would have even felt more frustrating because I wouldn't have been allowed, to
Yes.
help them.
Yes. Well,
Hmm.
we think perhaps my oldest son had it. He works in the ER at a hospital,
Oh, wow.
and
Yeah.
he woke up one morning. He's like, "Mom, my throat hurts." I'm like, "Get
Like,
in the room right now!" Like spraying Lysol. But he was quarantined for 2 weeks. I didn't let him come out, and
yeah,
you could go to the bathroom and then come out, and that's it.
that's all.
I had a chair at his door for food. but
Yeah.
he was never tested, so we don't know if it was or it wasn't. But the
Mhm.
doctor said being that he's in a high risk job, that
Yeah.
it probably was.
Wow. And it was safer just to go ahead and just quarantine. It's like,
That
yeah.
was right when it happened, like when everything
Wow.
started shutting down. So there was no way I was going to take that chance.
Mm-mm. No, not
Yeah.
at all.
In fact, he came out on Easter Day. I said, "You can be resurrected on Easter."
That's awesome. Brand new.
Yeah, yeah. And then I had a grandson during this quarantine, so it took months before we
Oh,
could actually hold him and see him.
that's so hard.
Yeah.
Wow. And how did that go as far as like her having like giving birth? I mean,
She was allowed in there with her husband. That was it.
okay.
Nobody else could go in.
Wow.
Um, you know, so we
That's
brought
so
them food.
different. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's hard.
yeah, it
You have
was
to
really
take some quick video skills. Yeah.
yeah, it
That's
was
good.
really hard.
Yeah. It's- Things are changing and
Yeah, it's getting a little bit better. Things are
getting
opening.
better. Yeah. There's so many things I could say that I'm just gonna like not.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Like all these things came to my mind. I'm like, I'll just not go there right now. So, some of the political and all that mess right now. So, anyway, I was going to ask you about creatives in your family. Like, besides you, like, were you like being exposed to it like at a young age and talk
Um,
about that if you would.
my stepfather was a very good artist.
Oh,
Um, my my real father was an artist. He did a little bit of everything. He did acting,
oh,
writing. He did management. Um, my son is into music. Both of my sons actually play the guitar. My husband plays the guitar.
awesome.
I like the piano to pick around on, but I'm
Yeah.
clearly not good.
Yeah.
But I like picking at it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's neat. Actually, do you feel like that's what kind of drew you towards acting a little bit and drama and stuff?
My dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like the exposure that you had, if you don't mind me asking, the exposure that you had younger was that you saw their lives, like in drama and theater or anything like that. Was that like a healthy view of it, or I mean, like I'm talking
When
about
I was
like you know,
younger,
like because you can be in like the theater and drama and things like that, and go in one way, or I guess and go in a different way. Um,
at the time I didn't find it unhealthy. I mean, for me,
mhm,
it kind of brought me out of a really bad
the
shell
shy,
that I was
yeah,
in. Um, I really enjoyed it,
mhm,
but like I said, in order to achieve, there's a lot of
oh,
giving, that you don't necessarily want to give. Um,
mhm,
the whole Me Too movement, that's a real thing.
yeah,
So,
gotcha.
yeah,
It's a very real thing. It is.
yeah.
And I do know what you mean by, like, being someone that you're really not, like, to do something like that. And actually, that would be really I can only imagine that that would be very, like, hard on your soul, on your spirit, because, being someone you're not, you know? God has done so much
At the
healing in
time, I
you.
didn't know that I wasn't because that's
Mhm.
all I knew, but, you just do things that in your mind, that that's not a
Yeah,
healthy thing to do.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, so I wanted to ask you this too about like the things that you're doing outside of COVID. Um, what God is calling you to at this time or in this season.
Oh, I don't, I don't think that there's like a step-by-step recipe for where he's calling me, but I just try to be true to who I am and, help other artists when I can. Maybe it's, I've given pieces away to people who have cancer or something that I know that just little things that you go your way to do.
That's neat.
I used to volunteer at a foster group home, and that was a real highlight of one of the times I was there was when I brought the acrylics and we all did some pour
That's
paint.
awesome. That's good. Wow. So it's like they got a chance to express themselves.
Yeah. But I don't know a specific area that he's calling me to. He's always calling me something.
Yeah. And it's just daily too, sometimes you don't know until that day. So, has the Lord like given you a bigger picture of like, because I know sometimes the Lord does that. Like I see a bigger picture and then I have to wait for all the smaller steps.
Well, my big picture is that I'll have a studio one day with the front half being a gallery and the back half being my
awesome.
creative room. But
yeah,
we'll see how that turns out.
I believe for that. Like I'm coming to visit because I want to do resin pour.
Anytime.
Yeah. The only place I can think of is doing that in my garage at this point.
It is messy, no doubt.
Yeah.
I have cardboard and plastic all over my floors.
I bet. It's like you have to do it. And it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
So like the process, because I get really fascinated with it. I'm like, it's so pretty. I was gonna ask, so after you do the mess, do you have to wait, excuse me, for it to all dry? How do you try to contain it or whatever?
It'll be touchable by the next morning, depending on what kind of resin I use. There's, one brand that I could do it in the morning and then I could pour again at night.
Oh, gotcha.
The other one takes longer to dry, so I can pour the next day. So.
And this is like epoxy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So I saw this picture that your husband had posted.
That my husband posted?
Yeah, or Instagram, but you had the mask on, I think.
Oh, yeah. Protective gears.
Protective gear.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I was curious, and I was looking at your page. Sorry. I saw you were tagged. I'm like, oh. I was like, oh, the whole mask thing. I'm like, that's really smart, though, because
you can't. I mean, the fumes are horrible, and I have the windows open too, and yeah, there's some brands that aren't as fumy. Is that a word?
Yeah. Low odor.
Yeah. It's when you put the heat on it that it changes its chemical reaction so that those fumes come out. So when they say not toxic, maybe it's not toxic, but you add just the whole chemical process.
So there's that's interesting. I didn't know that was whenever you put the heat on it. That's whenever that comes out. Interesting. Oh, so that would be hard. It's like, I definitely want that far away from me. But so is it just okay? So you do the acrylic and then you do the resin over it, like the epoxy.
Sometimes I go straight into the resin.
Gotcha. So do you mix color with the resin, and that's how you pour it?
Yeah. There's resin pigment that you can mix. I do acrylic. I mix acrylic in there. You can pretty much put anything in resin besides water. Water and resin doesn't go together. But
Gotcha.
I've had people put salt, pepper, paprika.
Really
Yeah.
interesting.
So.
So does it need to be like an oil base then that goes into it versus like water? I mean,
Well,
like
water acrylics work fine with it, but you don't want to put straight water on it.
so don't try to dilute it.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Is it kind of like working with polyurethane or something like that? I mean, I've not used it before, so I'm just curious.
I've never used polyurethane, so
Hmm,
I'm not sure.
interesting. Well, I'm
There's
sure it's probably really thick.
different kinds of resin that's, some are thin, some are thicker.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
it's like working with liquid for sure.
Yeah. Very liquidy. Yeah. Oh, I was going to ask you, are there any like major messes that you feel like you've ever made that were not redeemable? I mean, I don't mean like, I'm not talking about your
Yeah,
work.
that one
I'm talking about the floor or something.
that one right there,
Yeah.
the one that's sitting up there. So that was the first resin art I ever did. And it's on my page, but I did like
Mhm.
a little clip, and I have this closet that is just full of cardboard boxes for mailing stuff. And I found this like underneath the stack of boxes, and I pulled it out, and I was like, oh, and that was the very first resin piece I ever did. And I remember thinking, this is so cool. I love this when I first did that. And I looked at it now and I was like, oh, that's really bad, Taryn.
No.
So I pulled it out, and first thing that came to my mind was he makes all things new.
Yeah.
And I just kind of went with that feeling. And that one I did do an acrylic painting underlay, and then I resined over it, and then I painted some more, and then I resined again. So that's become a whole new revival.
That's awesome.
So,
I was going to ask you a quick question really quick here. Had some notes I was following, so don't get totally sidetracked. Let's see. Okay, so as far as like the business end of things, are there some practical things that you've learned, like whether it's a software or anything like that you would suggest to other creatives? Maybe something to try to like
well,
help them be abundant. Yeah.
I think you definitely have to have a space allocated for you and what you want to do. I
Hmm.
know when I started having my own space as opposed to the kitchen table, it was it was a whole new experience. But yeah, I just allow yourself to dream.
Hmm. It's something that
Hard
like a
to put
separate
on
space.
yourself. I say that out loud, and I'm like, probably. But yeah, I just jumped in and did it, really.
Wow.
And it's a
So
lot of time. It's time consuming. Social
mhm,
media is time consuming, which
it is.
ignore the numbers. Don't get hung up in social media, because I go back and forth
Yeah.
with like
Yeah.
not moving, numbers aren't moving, you know. Everyone else's numbers are moving, but your numbers aren't moving. And
Yeah.
it's such a mind game.
It
Such a
really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember whenever I first began the community and I was like, what? Seeing numbers and then things would go backwards and I'm like, what? I'm like, it was
I don't
confusing. I'm
follow
like,
to unfollow thing. I don't.
I don't pay attention to it anymore. I mean, maybe a lot of people do, and they want to make higher numbers and there are reasons, sure, for your accounts to go over certain, numbers and allows you different things, within Instagram and whatever, but certain privileges that they give you. But at the same time, You know, that's very stressful. It can be very stressful.
Yeah.
But, and and also it gives you that feeling of competing, you know, and comparing.
Yeah, the comparison game, that's yeah,
It's big.
huge. Yeah,
Yeah. Actually, it kills the creativity
it
in
does,
heartbeat.
it does.
Yeah.
It absolutely does. I just did a post about that the other day because
Mm.
I had those mind games going
Mhm.
through. Yeah,
'Cause they do.
feel good, doesn't matter.
It's true, and
It's
like you
because you're on there and you're scrolling and sometimes you just have
there
to
they are. Yeah,
yeah.
this is true. And then I know for me, it's like then I'm hard on myself, you know, after that.
Mhm.
Or you
Yeah,
just
you are.
where you were excited about something and then the desire to create, it just kinda
Yeah.
it fizzles. I mean, that's what it does, it kills all that.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
Mhm,
or you post something that you love and then,
mhm, and
"Why
someone
did it get so many likes, but this one got," and you're just
yeah,
like,
like, and not understanding the difference and
uh,
then yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
a huge thing, I think, for people. They just need to ignore
The numbers.
ignore the I mean, let it inspire you, but don't let it burn your
Dictate,
fire.
yeah,
No.
exactly. That's good.
Yeah.
It's true. Oh, social time, business, like, I was just curious. Um, do you ever feel like you have to juggle that, like, a particular way, like, with family or
No. I mean,
no?
my boys are grown, I'm lucky if I see them for 15 minutes a day.
That's all.
2 of them live here still, and it's,
Um,
they're in the room. They don't like to hang out with mom anymore, unfortunately.
yeah,
So, but I don't know. I usually paint on the weekends and
mhm.
off, which is today, and sometimes if I'm feeling it, I'll come up here at night and do a couple hours.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, because you get resin, you got a short time to work once you mix that, you got 30 minutes to an hour depending on your weather.
Mhm. This is true. Humidity, yeah, big
Mm.
difference. Interesting. So might as well do that at night. Actually, where I can just sit all night long. Yeah,
Yeah,
there you
yeah.
go. Good idea. Makes me think about see, I've been working on cabinets. I have paint still all over my arm. You probably can't see it. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, and I'm dealing with the humidity right now too. So, but
Mm,
I forget about that. It's like whenever you're working with a lot of paint, then you really have to give it time to dry. And
yeah.
that's what you're doing. It's like I mean, it's resin, but it's
Mhm.
still thick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
patience.
Patience.
Yeah, not
Got to
not
love that.
not my best spirit.
Well,
Working on that.
it gives you
I'm
time to,
doing
like,
better
think
than I
out, like, the next step, so, yeah, which is true. But that would be frustrating, especially when you have this idea and you're like, "Oh," you wanna do it right then, and then you must wait.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
taking notes. So as far as, like, creating and it's just you, right? There's not, like, a team of people and knows each other
Just
nice. You
me.
understand?
Sometimes I wish I had a team, like just a social media person.
Right, exactly.
Somebody, like, that could do really cute little videos
Right?
and post, and I don't have to look at it. That would be great.
Yeah, good job.
Unfortunately, that's how you get your name out these days, so,
Mhm. It's true.
yeah.
I know it's like I've met a lot of creatives that talk about the same thing. It's like you have to be willing to learn it and to be able to do it. And it's also like the financial part of it too,
Mm,
having the business.
yeah,
As a creative, it seems, well, those are the least enjoyable parts. You just want to be able to create and it sells and that's it.
exactly.
Yeah. And there's that too. We do have that time, but I think for me, also, you kind of have to like separate it because you do have to have the joy and
Yeah.
the time to create, and then you have to. I do what's called time blocking. I try to time blocking anyway, where okay, this time is allocated for this.
Oh, you're good.
I have a bullet journal, but it's not like really filled in like it should be. But anyway, that helps too. But time blocking has helped me, I think. I don't do it all the time. I wish I did it better, but
I
it
wish I
does.
did it at all.
Yes, you can literally
Sounds
put
like
it in your
so
phone.
helpful.
Say, okay, these 2 hours I'm going to set aside for this, and at the end of that 2 hours, I just stop, and then I'll go on to the other, and then it gives you like, there's this peace,
Mhm.
okay, I do have the time to do that thing that I enjoy so much, and then at the end of that, I know I have to do this other as well. So you don't, um so the other isn't completely procrastinated or pushed out of the way, which I've done that too. So yeah, so yeah. But you do need the time to be free, to
Yeah,
create. Yeah.
yeah.
I know we're like almost at the end of our hour, and I'm like, wow, that went really fast. I was going to ask you if you had any like last encouraging words or
Ooh,
inspiring things that you'd want to share with creatives about something that you've learned that's really helped you or that the Lord's shown you or anything like that.
um, well, I always go back to Proverbs 16:9. You know,
Mhm.
humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps.
Yes,
So I think it doesn't matter how good of a plan that you have. Um, if that's not what you're supposed to do, it's not going to happen.
it's true.
So,
That's
yeah,
good.
he's much wiser than I am. So,
And he gives you that wisdom
go
too.
back to
He
his
does.
word always. But
Okay.
again, just not obsessing over social media. I can't stress that enough.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I was writing about some of that this week actually in the encouragement bundle, and then something earlier today, but having to do with just our, um, I want to say like being impressed by the world, not just impressed by the world, but um, we're motivated by so much in the media or the social media, and um, it's really easy to, and the word talks about this too, because there's a lot of darkness and then there's light. And the
Yeah.
dark is getting darker and the light's getting lighter. The word talks about that. So if
Mhm.
we keep our focus on the darkness and we're like looking at all the stuff, and I mean, maybe some of it is factual, and a lot of it's factual and really like hard to fathom. You know, a lot of the stuff that we've heard about in the news.
Mhm.
At the same time, if we keep our minds there, it just it's like it makes our hearts feel dark because it's heavier and heavier and heavier. And it's not that we should bury our heads in the sand, but that we need to be aware, but we're also to be light and to shine brightly as well.
Yeah.
Um, but there's only one way to do that. We have to spend more time with the light
Yeah.
than the dark.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you if you would mind, because I know this has been awesome, and I would like to just keep visiting actually. But I was going to ask, would you mind praying over the creatives like that are listening or that will listen, and just pray over whatever the Lord puts on your heart, like concerning them? So,
All right. You're gonna put a shy girl on the line.
or
Okay.
I'll pray either way. Okay.
Uh, oh God. Being a creative is like hard and trying at times. And so easy to allow fear and doubt to creep into our thoughts and discourage us from following through with what you've placed on our hearts. But God, you're the creative director. Let our validation come from you alone. When the enemy is telling us we're not capable and that we don't have what it takes and we aren't gifted, help us to stand on the truth of your word, God. Don't allow the doubts of others to bring us to doubt what you've called us to do. Because if you've called us, you will equip us. So, Lord, continue to give all us creatives the inspiration to carry out your vision in order to shine the light on you. In Jesus' name, amen.
That was really good. Thank you.
I'm not crying. I'm having it.
No, I am. It's okay. Anyway, I was just going to say thank you.
Oh, thank you. This was fun.
You're such a blessing. You're such a blessing.
Thanks for getting me out of my shell for a little while.
You're welcome. It's good. I was really wanting to share like your story and just I see so much joy whenever you create, and I know that other people feel that too. So getting to meet that person and hear your story and just see the joy on you.
Thanks.
It's good.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining.
My pleasure. Thanks.
Thank you. Bless you. And we'll be in touch. So I just want to thank you.
Thanks,
Okay,
Misty.
I'm going to thank you. Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, guys. So I always hate saying goodbye. It's terrible. Anyway, I just wanted to thank you all for joining us, and I just want to bless you all. And this is really a community of Christian creatives, and God has just called us to bless one another, encourage one another, and just let Him shine through us, and just let the kingdom of God rule and reign in the earth as through all the things that He has given us gifts in, and that's what the community of Christian creatives is about. It's just community of Christians that are creative and inspiring and encouraging and lifting up one another. And there's more that you can find out on Instagram if you want to follow us there. We've got all the information down below this video, so give us a follow. And if you want us to share your work, we would love to. And just hashtag or @symbol us, tag us in your work on Instagram. And we've got our website. You can find out more, again, in the bio there. We have a catalog that comes out monthly. And we have creatives that we highlight. We highlight our members. To be in the catalog, it is a monthly membership, and that is also explained in the bio below. It's a small fee, but it's something that God put on my heart. It was so that creatives from all over could share their work all over the world. Anyway, just want to bless you guys and say thanks for joining us, and we will see you again soon. God bless you.